and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for a full Barca news roundup. And as well today, plenty of opinion on the way, because we're going to be discussing what Barca's next move is going to be in the transfer market, because time is of the essence right now. We need to move quite quickly in terms of our next target. So we're going to be talking today about a number of different players in a bit of detail. And I also have, quite interestingly, a bit of an idea of my own. And I'm interested to see what you make of a new proposal for how Barca's summer transfer window could end up looking. It is all on the way for you. Get ready. And let's do this. Because indeed, guys, during yesterday's videos, I did have plenty of super thankses coming in on the channel. I really do appreciate that support, guys. And ultimately, I think there was a lot of emotion surrounding the whole Nico Williams situation, that drastic turnaround, really, in the final few hours, him staying at Athletic Club. I think a lot of people just wanted to get some things off their chest, air a bit of frustration. I fully understand that. But today, we're going to move on from him. We have to move on from him. There's no good talking now, no good crying over spilt milk. He's made his bed, now he's got to lay in it, and ultimately in the end, he chose to have a single bed. He could have had a king-size one, but he has chosen to stay at Athletic Club. So that's fine, and we will be moving on. But let's actually kick off here by talking first of all about a fine from UEFA towards Barca right here, because the big news is that Barca have been fined 15 million euros by UEFA for a breach there of financial fair play. And I should point out, we're not the only club who've been fined. Chelsea have been fined even more than that, double that amount actually. Aston Villa as well have been fined, Lyon too. Their struggles right now continue to go on. But on our side, this basically comes from, people are saying, why have we been fined? Why are UEFA doing this? Well, it's because, remember when we activated all of those financial levers, plenty of seasons ago it was now, to generate income for the club, short term, to get things moving really with La Liga's FFP rules? Well, unfortunately, UEFA didn't like that. UEFA did not accept those levers as operating income. So in all of our balance sheets there with UEFA, in all of the calculations that went on with regard to fair play, those levers were not able to be included. So Barca have fallen short on some of those. It's quite incredible, really. La Liga are bad, but UEFA were even more strict in this area. I find that hard to believe. I didn't think there'd be anybody worse out there than La Liga, but UEFA are trying their best right now. But what I have to say on this is that it's not a surprise to the club. Don't think here the Barca just woke up one morning and they were like, oh no, we've lost 15 million. Luckily, they actually did anticipate this fine. They have known that it was on the way now. They planned for it, I hope, because actually, they've been in talks with UEFA. They've been negotiating now for quite some time with UEFA to bring that fine down, because it could have apparently been a lot more, a lot higher indeed. Some people are even talking about 50, 60 million euros. Could have been massive, but in the end, Barca have been able to lower it to 15 million euros. They're not exactly happy with it, but they will accept it, and hopefully from this point on, we won't run in to any FFP trouble. But if we do indeed move on to life after Nico Williams, what comes next for Barca? What kind of players are we looking at? Who are we going to target? Realistically, what is going to happen? Well, I think it's important that we kick off with Luis Diaz, because he is one of those players who actually is willing to make the most sacrifices, really, to come to the club. In terms there of registration, in terms of trusting the club, he'd be right at the top. He is willing to do whatever it takes to join Barca. He's actually felt this way for quite a long time now, several seasons. He's been waiting for that call, and already this summer, he has rejected an advance from Bayern because he's holding out for Barca. Even when we were going for Nico, he still had faith. He still had faith that maybe this could happen. But I do have to say, guys, personally right now, I find it difficult to talk about these Luis Diaz rumours. They are there in the media. They will continue to go on. But of course, right now, you've got to bear in mind, it's the last thing that will be on Liverpool's mind. We have all been very saddened by the tragic news this week, of course, about the loss of Diogo Jota and his brother. His funeral was actually held today in Portugal. Very sad indeed. All of the football world there are uniting to mourn today. So like I say, it's not going to be something Liverpool are thinking about right now. And can I just say as well, they have made their stance clear on Diaz, and I do not expect them to alter that. I think that Barca here going after Diaz, it's a waste of time. They do not want to sell him. They have been adamant about that. They've told the club directly. So I think, to be honest, we have to start looking elsewhere. We don't want to allocate too much time here to players who we may not be able to get. We've already wasted time on Nico. We can't afford, really, to waste any more. Which does indeed then bring us on, guys, to talk about Raphael Leao. Now, we did discuss him just a little bit yesterday in the video, and I want to talk about him more right here, because I think he's such a fascinating name that will continue to be linked with Barca this summer, especially now. And that is because, of course, he is a top quality player. He is still a very, very desirable winger. He is an outstanding player on his day, and as well, and I don't think you can really understate this, he is a big name. He is a big name in the footballing world. Something there that I do believe that Joan Laporta likes that. You know, he likes that feeling of bringing in a big star in the game. And we're hearing right now that, yeah, this summer his price would be around 70 million euros or so. And lots of people are saying, well, can Barca even afford that? You know, we're looking at targets here, we're looking at valuations. Can Barca even afford at this point to make that big signing, to sign that big name? 70 million, are we able to do that? But at the same time, guys, you've got to stress here, if Barca were able to afford, and they could, Nico's 62 million euro release clause, and remember, that had to be paid all at once. That had to be all in one go. Money there, right there and then. And I think other players now, you know, you're talking about Diaz, you're talking here about Raphael Leao, you'd be able to agree some sort of payment structure. It wouldn't all be in one go. So Barca still can afford a big name. They can afford to pay big money if they need to. But should they? I think that's the big question right now. Should they be allocating, should they be spending big money on a winger? And that is something to bear in mind for just a minute's time, because then we do move on to Marcus Rashford. Now, this is an interesting one because he wouldn't be expensive. And I think that's the key here. You've got different types of players, different kinds of valuations that we're talking about right now. With Rashford, Barca will be targeting a really low-risk kind of deal. Almost, I would say, zero risk in some ways. You know, all you'd have to do is find, I don't even know if it will be all of his wages. You know, you'd have to find some money towards the wages, but Barca will be targeting a loan deal from Manchester United with an option to buy. So basically, they'd like Rashford with absolutely no strings attached, no obligations, no big money paid out. It would be, in essence, a very, very low-risk deal. Now, again, you're probably saying, well, why would United do that? Why would they just hand away Rashford? Why would they give in to Barca's demands? Well, United are in the kind of situation that we found ourselves in on many, many occasions. Because you know what? They've already played their hand. They've already given away Marcus Rashford's number. He is clearly not in their plans. Ruben Amorim does not want him at the club. They want to shift him by whatever means necessary. And what that means is Barca know only so well, unfortunately, it means you've got no leverage. It means you've already said, okay, I need this guy gone. Can somebody help me? That is why they can't afford here to play hardball. They can't afford to keep this guy around when they don't want him, when the coach doesn't want him. He's got no number now. So Barca, I think they have to negotiate this to our advantage. We are finally in a good position. We are not the desperate club. For the first time in a long time here in this deal, we would not be the desperate ones. So you've got to use that to your advantage there. And apparently, in the coming days, Barca and Manchester United, they will begin talks for the first time over Marcus Rashford. And he's another one of those players, much like with Diaz. He will work hard to make this happen. He is not like Nico. He desperately wants to be here. He will do whatever it takes to sign. He's been training in Spain. He's been trying to make whatever contact he could with Barca. He desperately wants to come to the club. He did so as well in January. You can't doubt that commitment. But would it be the right call? Would Rashford be enough? Because I know a lot of people this summer were not expecting Rashford to be the winger signing, the forward signing. Is it enough? Would it be enough to just sign him? Because indeed, that is when we do come on to this idea that I've been having, you know, things that I've been just mulling around in my mind. I think you may have seen me over yesterday on MORETALKFCB. I was at Wembley, I was at a concert, but Barca was still on the mind. You can't get rid of it. You know, these things are turning. Wheels are going round all the time. And I was just thinking, okay, we couldn't get Nico. You know, obviously in the end, whatever happened, happened. We're not talking about him. But anyway, we couldn't get Nico. But then it got me thinking, okay, we were willing to spend massive money. You know, it was really, really big money for the club. 62 million euros in one go. That is massive money on a player to come in. And did we actually need that big signing in the wider areas, because I accept, okay, we don't have a lot of wide players at Barca. We need definitely more depth in those areas. You know, if Yamal were to get injured, if Rafinha were to get injured, you'd be in some trouble. You also need to rotate them more than we did last season. I accept all of that, but did we need to buy, and do we need to buy right now, a starter? You know, do we need to go out and spend 60, 70 million euros on a player? Is it required? Because I'm looking at the team that we have right now. We were incredible last season. Going forward, we have so many different options in that area in our starting lineup. And in my opinion, if we can keep Dani Olmo a little bit more fit, you know, and I think we will. I think the second season will be easier for him. We're going to come up with a dedicated training plan and all of that stuff like we do with Pedri. If we can play Olmo more often, I don't think we need to buy a starter. You know, I don't think we need to spend massive money here on a forward when there are other areas in the team that if you sign Rashford, you can bring in some depth there. You can bring in some depth on the wide side, you know, something that's very low risk. You can actually bring him in there for low money, as we've said. And from there, would it actually be more prudent to spend the money on defence? Would it be more effective for our squad, for our depth, for our quality to actually look there at the full-back areas? Do we need to spend all of this big money on an exciting, shiny forward when there are glaring holes at full-back? You know, there's no doubt about that. We are hearing right now rumours about Denzel Dumfries. Barca are looking at him. We're going to be talking more about that for sure in the coming days. It's somebody they like. He has a quite low release clause in his contract. Whether Barca will pursue that, we'll have to wait and see. We've obviously got lots of links as well to Van der Sar, somebody who's very exciting, very young as well. He's talented. He's improving every season. He can also play on both sides too. So he's a real quality player at fullback. And then you've got links as well to somebody like Alejandro Grimaldo, somebody who could come in and help now. He's got a lot of experience. He understands the club very well. He could provide fantastic depth there at left back and a brilliant option there as a deputy to Alejandro Balde. And you just think, okay, is there room to spend the money elsewhere? Is there actually more of a reason to spend it on the defensive side of our team? Because that's where we had our problems. Barca in the past season conceded too many goals. We gave ourselves too much to do in the Champions League. And that didn't come from our attack. That came from our defence, guys. So that is the big question right now. And what I would also point out as well, if you can save some money this summer, then do it. You don't have to spend every single euro that you've got. Because remember, next summer, we're going to need a number 9. There is every chance that we will need to go out and spend big on a centre forward. So anything that you can save now, keep in your back pocket, maybe so that next summer we're not scrambling around. We're not having to give players away. We're not having here to really scramble for deadlines and registrations and guarantees. Maybe save a little bit of money so you're not in that position. And I just think here, maybe the whole Nico thing was some sort of sign. Maybe we've been given here a bit of a wake-up call. We need to go back to the drawing board, assess what we truly need, where we truly need to spend our money. And guys, what do you think right now? With the money that Barca have in this summer transfer window, where and how should it be allocated? Do we need to spend big on a forward, on a winger, or are there other areas, or are there other times that we should be looking to spend that money? Please do let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure there's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of emotion going around right now. So let it out. Comment down below and I will see all of you in the videos to come. There will be lots of them. There's going to be lots happening here at Barca and I'll be excited to share all of those moments with you guys. Thank you indeed for the great support and for all the super thanks. But until next time, as always, Vejka, El Barça!